Episode number 4 of the Marketing Lyfe podcast. It's Taylor Timothy, your host, and today we have Wes Bledsoe on this podcast. He's a former roommate. He loves me so much that he got married on my birthday. So he give you a little overview of what we're going to talk about today is creating engaging content for your email sequences, using your sales scripts to write your email copy and your Facebook ads, and he dives into generating leads for door-to-door companies. So, lots to learn today. Let's dive in. Okay, Wes, so tell me a little backstory about yourself. Like, how did you get into online marketing? You know, why are you an online marketer?
So I actually started boots on the ground. I think I was 12 or 13. My oldest brother started a window cleaning business. And my job was to take business cards, and on the business cards, he would drive down the street and he would look at a house and count how many windows were in the front, estimate what would be on the back, and then write a quote. And so basically what we were doing is we were taking those business cards, sliding it in people's doors, and they were getting a quote to clean their windows right there. And then they would just call in and set an appointment. And so we would every Saturday he would take us out, and I think my pay was like a slurpee at the end of the day, but I would just run from house to house for 4 hours, and then we generated business that way. And then so that was kind of my first experience in marketing. My second, I started my own company at 16. Me and Clayton, a buddy of mine, started Premium Steam, and we would detail cars on the inside. That all started with a $1,000 steam cleaner, biggest purchase I've ever made at that point in my life. We got financing actually on a $1,000 steam cleaner, and we would charge people $80 or $90 to just clean the inside of their car, which sounds crazy. It was back in like 2005, or no, maybe even a little earlier than that, right around 2005. So it was an expensive service, but with the steam cleaner and the shop vac we were using, we were able to make cars look brand new. I've never seen a better detail, honestly, to this day, and I've paid for a lot of details. So we ran that for a couple of years, and then I did the door-to-door game. And went on an LDS mission for 2 years. And then when I got back, I started filming video, doing weddings and some videos for businesses. And that was really the first, the start into online marketing for me, where I was trying to figure out how to create videos that generated leads or explained a process for companies. And that really created the opportunities I needed to get into companies that I learned the trade from.
That's awesome, man. So basically just grinding out throughout your life, you finally got a little glimpse of online marketing and how it is as a whole. So basically, Wes, you have a lot of experience. So nowadays, like, where are you at, like, as far as like being an expert? What are you an expert in right now?
So really what my focus has become is building an effective marketing funnel. And basically the best way to explain that is I figured out how to generate quality leads, which I know you're an expert in as well. But basically you worked at Wyink as well, and Wyink's a marketing company that I learned most of my trade from. Jace Vernon's the owner over there. He's a stud and taught both of us a lot.
Amen, brother.
Amen. But so basically, the issue I ran into with a lot of our Wyink clients was we would generate them quality leads, and then they wouldn't do anything with it. Or their sales rep would call it the next day or maybe a week later, and there wasn't any process for following up with these leads and different things like that. But it was funny because our end, we had a really extremely effective funnel where we got you to fill out a form, and then there was an email campaign, and we called you within 5 minutes. And that's where really the idea of creating a marketing company came from. But it was very difficult to, create the entire funnel for companies. And so basically out of that frustration, out of that pain point for me, I decided I need to become an expert in the process from generating a lead all the way to converting a lead and then upselling that lead later on. And so really my focus has been learning the psychology of, okay, what causes someone to fill out a form? And then once they fill out a form, what content needs to put in front of them, essentially following a sales process to get them to either reach out to a sales rep or to convert right on the website. And so that's really been my focus for the last, 5-6 years.
That's awesome, man. So basically start to finish, fill out the form, and you're the one getting them into the funnel, and then you're the one that's going to be closing them as well. That's freaking dope. So what's that process like? Kind of give the audience a rundown on kind of what you're doing to generate these leads and close them.
Absolutely. So basically the driving force behind this, or I guess the driving statistic is, if you can put 6 to 8 pieces of content in front of someone, there's a 90% chance they're going to pick you over a competitor. So based on the assumption, if they're willing to fill out a lead form, they're interested in your product. That's really the goal. Then becomes, okay, let's get 6 to 8 pieces of quality content in front of them. So if we look at the start of the funnel, when I initially go into companies or different industries, I spend a lot of time trying to figure out what the pain points are. What pain points is this person resolving? And then I try and get creative about how we attack those pain points. For example, one thing I love to do is I love to hop on YouTube, and the beauty of YouTube is people are uploading thousands and thousands and thousands of videos every day that are just helping people resolve pain points. So for example, I do some marketing for a tech company right now, and one of the pain points they resolve is setting up a server or deploying to the cloud when you have an app. And so what I'll do is I'll find a YouTube video that walks someone through the process of deploying their application to a cloud so it can run, in iOS or run as a website. And what's interesting is while you're watching that YouTube video, it is a really painful experience to set up that process. It sucks to create an app. Well, creating an app's really fun, and then it becomes really unfun when you start trying to deploy it to a cloud, because you may have, coded it one way, and then you have to switch it over to Linux, and you have to scale it if there's any growth, and you have to scale it in production, and that can cause downtime, and if you have downtime, you can lose customers. And so there's all these issues you can face. But if we're just focused on one thing, just setting up that process before you even face any of the issues takes a long time. It can take 1 to 2 full days, even longer if you're not super experienced. And so the idea is, okay, let's catch someone watching these videos and put an ad in front of them that says, hey, we know it sucks to set up a server, so do it with Nanobox because you can do it in minutes. And then we show, the UI and different things to basically resolve that pain point and show them how we resolve it. And so going in with that mentality, it can become really effective to get people filling out forms, which is obviously the first step. And then I, do some research on their sales process. So I will have their best salesman walk me through his sales pitch. And so, I've worked in the solar industry before. And so, an example of a solar sales pitch is, hey, let's go through, your utility cost. And, the negative thing with utility cost is you're stuck. That basically it's the worst landlord you can have, right? So if you're paying, Rocky Mountain Power, if you live in Utah or Denver, you pay Rocky Mountain Power whatever they want to charge you. So they can raise rates, 10% one year, and you can't do anything about it because they're not competing with other power companies. And so so that's a start of some of their sales pitches, of a sales pitch for a solar company. And so I take that chunk and I say, oh, that could be a really fun article or a really interesting article. Okay, so what's the next thing you go into? Okay, well, maybe I talked about tax benefits here and how the federal government is giving you 30% back on the cost of your solar system, and this is how it works. Okay, so maybe that's the next chunk of articles that I want to put in front of them. And the whole concept is, if you can identify a winning sales pitch, that really can become your sales funnel. The way you're pitching it, the amount of information you can give them becomes a lot different, but it gives you, really basically the trail to, okay, here's email 1, here's email 2, here's email 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 12 or more. Just following that sales pitch and finding, interesting things in there, or interesting stories, or different things that you can send in an email form or through a Facebook ad, to keep them engaged and keep them interested while continuing to provide value.
Awesome. I really like that tip. I've never even really thought to do that. Basically go to your sales guys, ask them about their sales pitch, and go in and write your emails and copy after that. I think that's really cool, Wes. So thanks for that little tip on that. So tell us, Wes, online marketing, we know, is one of those things. There's a lot of trial and error, a lot of testing and different things like that. So I know a lot of people don't like this question, but what was one of your marketing campaigns that actually failed?
Oh my heck. I love this question because I've got one all the time. All the time. If I'm not failing, I'm not getting closer to what's successful. So I actually had one fail last week, as awesome as that is. I set up a landing page that dealt with a pain point that the tech company I'm at deals with, and it was specifically on deploying an app to the cloud, right? So what I just described. What's interesting, though, so we created a landing page. The landing page is probably the best looking landing page that I have ever built. It's phenomenal. There's a video on there that looks like it's part of the page that walks you through how to do it, and like the graphics are unreal. Like seriously, I want to show it off to everyone. It's incredible. And so I got super psyched about that, and we started running ads. The first 2 days, we were generating leads, and I was like, oh my heck, this is awesome. But like 4 days in, nothing. And I was like, what is going? This is weird. This is really strange, because typically with AdWords I'm really confident. I've got a really solid process for identifying keywords and figuring out what competition is doing and doing it better. So I hopped in my AdWords account and I was like, okay, what's going on? Well, my quality score is really low, and so I use like SEMrush and kind of a bunch of different tools to analyze the landing page to see what was going on. But so I had a few issues on there. One of them was I had too little text. We went super graphic heavy, and so there was too little text on there, and I didn't spend enough time really resolving the pain point. Basically, I went up top. I had it match as close as I could to keywords, dealing with deploying applications. And then I had, kind of a flashy sub headline. And then I talked about, a few features with deployment. And then I went into kind of the other things we resolve. And so I really didn't spend enough time just focusing on the one pain point we were dealing with. And so, that was kind of it was an awesome learning experience for me. But it was a good kind of slap in the face of like, hey, I don't know how to put it. It's almost like, hey, focus on what matters. Don't get caught up on the graphics or how pretty it looks. Focus on things that convert and putting information in there that will really benefit people, not just make you feel good because it looks awesome.
Gotcha. No, I definitely agree to that. One of the things that I've always learned with online marketing is it's like, do you want a car that works or you want a really nice car that doesn't work? And so
totally.
It's more about the functionality and making sure that it has the right messaging out there and and that your site functions. So definitely that's a great takeaway for our audience. So Wes, what is, all of us have had some failures, have had some successes. What was like that first little success story that you had where you were like, you know what, I like this, I want to do it more, and I really want to put my heart into online marketing? What was your first little success?
So the first one that comes to mind for me, I had, let's see. So I started out, I was shooting videos for YDraw, and Jace Vernon pulled me aside and was like, hey, YDraw is generating, I think at the time we were spending about $3,000 to $5,000 a month and generating, $200,000 to $250,000 in revenue. And that was our total ad spend. And that was where all our leads were coming from, besides reorders. But it was a pretty new company at the time, so there wasn't a ton of reorders. And so we basically, Jason was looking at that and saying, hey, this is an extremely effective way to market. Why don't we start offering this to other companies? And that was the launch of Y Inc. And I guess Y Inc. is now Marketing High.
Yeah,
which is
it definitely changed there, but it's all good.
It's funny because Marketing High was my domain, and that's a whole story. But anyways, I'm still bitter. Oh, I love that domain so much.
We should probably send Jace this podcast.
Of course. Anyway, so Jace pulled me aside. He's like, hey, I'm interested in offering this to other people, and so let's look into that. At the time I was shooting videos for YDraw, but they hadn't really found a spot for me to work. And so side story, the way I got a job at YDraw, my buddy Mark Heiser got offered a job there to edit videos. And I, at the time, was just putting on events at Dixie State to get entrepreneurs together. And then we'd ask people in the community that were successful entrepreneurs to come speak at it. And so I think the first person we got out was Jace. He was either the first or second, but Jace came out and gave an awesome presentation, kind of talked about the different marketing he was doing. And basically, while I was sitting there watching it happen, I was like, holy crap, like, I need to learn all this. This is really cool. And so I chased Jace down in the parking lot. I was like, hey, man, I just want to learn from you. I don't care what I have to do. I don't care if I have to, take out the garbage, whatever needs to happen. I just want to start learning, what you know about marketing. And he laughed. He's like, oh, maybe I'll have something for you. And so for 3 weeks, I stopped by YDraw every day and just said, what's up to everybody? And just messed around. I started as a joke writing my hours. So I'd write like, oh, Wes was here for 15 minutes on Tuesday. And like it was my timesheet. And literally, so for 3 weeks, I did this, and it was awkward at times, but I was determined to work there, and it seemed like a really fun place to work. And so, finally, they pulled me aside and were like, "Look, just start shooting videos for us. We can do videos here and here." And then, okay, back to where I was at the story. Jace was like, "Hey, I need someone to help me to launch this company. Well, not help, but I need an employee for this company. Let's get this started." And I was like, okay, awesome. And so we got it rolling. We got our first couple clients. The first one crashed and burned super hard, which was funny because they were a multi-level marketing company and probably made the worst business decisions I've ever seen. He was offering to pay us more money to do a whiteboard video for him, and I was arguing with him not to do it because he was burning through cash so quickly. But anyway, so Jace after we got our first couple of clients, Jace asked me to create a Facebook ad to start generating clients for Y Inc. And I believe the first ad that I got to work was "Listen, You Sexy Beast," and it was a picture of like a character that YDraw had drawn. And then I don't remember. I used a bunch of different things after that of like, hey, learn more about marketing or get a marketing consultation for free. But it was the headline that "Listen, You Sexy Beast" that really like took off and made people laugh or for whatever reason resonated with them. And that we generated, I think that month we generated 4 or 5 marketing clients, and it cost us $220.
Wow.
And it was nuts. Like we just had the right message going, and the landing page Jace built was killing it. And so it was a combination of the kind of goofy headline I came up with, and offering something really of value on the landing page, and it just killed. And honestly, like the entire time I was at Wank, we could turn that on anytime we wanted and generate clients. And so that campaign though was really my first taste of building something, and something I built, people resonating with and offering their data to us, and then speaking with us and being sold. And so, and what was cool at that time is I was able to actually pitch them and sell them marketing. So I got to experience the whole process of, oh my heck, you clicked on my ad, that's so cool. Oh my heck, you gave me your info, and oh my heck, you're going to pay us money. Like that was an extremely fun and honestly an extremely addictive thing to have happen, of like, holy crap, like people will give you money if you just tell them what they want to hear and then deliver. Like it's crazy. Like it's still crazy to me. It's still like the most exciting thing about marketing is anytime I jump into a new industry, it's like, how do I give them the right message that like seriously like makes them buy it? It's still like a little bit magical to me. It's kind of fun. But yeah, that was really the first experience for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, I really like how you actually created a creative ad that was fun and engaging. That's one thing I feel like marketers aren't doing anymore. They're just like, buy now. And like ads like that don't work, and then you obviously created amazing landing pages that helped close them up. So I think that's a good takeaway also for our audience. Make sure your ads are creative, and make sure your landing pages are built out right. So Wes, you have this little success story. So what was your grand slam for success? For me, when I shared my story, my grand slam, that's when I was like, okay, I am an expert in this. I can do this. I know what I'm doing. So what was like your big grand slam story? So
mine's a little bit interesting because mine happened in the solar industry, and it was a mix of online marketing and telemarketing. So I looked at the solar industry and kind of the door-to-door industry in general, because that's what I had some experience in. And I saw that there's all these people knocking every day, generating hundreds of leads, right? The bigger the company, the more leads are generated per day. And these companies can generate thousands of leads. And the process is you knock on the door, you send, at least in solar, this is how it works. You have setters that knock on the door, and they set the appointment, and then you send a closer to the home to close the appointment, and then the deal's done and you move on, right? And so, every metric in sales basically says the worst thing you can do is try and sell someone the first time, right? Well, always be closing, I guess, but the worst statistic comes on your first meeting with a closer, right? And so and because there were so many leads generated, there was no need to really follow up on these appointments, right? And so basically it's the closer goes in, and his mentality is, I'm either closing it today or I'm going to move on. Because, from their perspective, oftentimes they'll have 3 setters knocking doors for them, or 2 setters that will fill up their schedule every day. So they're really, really, you can basically as a closer wait around and just pitch people that are ready to buy, right? But the problem is most of these people that are, agreeing to appointments are not far enough in the sales process to be ready to make, a $40,000, $50,000 purchase on solar, because that's a hard thing to accept, right? Even though solar makes a ton of sense and can make a lot of people save a ton of money, it's still a $40,000 or $50,000 purchase at times. And so I looked at that and I said, okay, well, what if I built a call center that called these leads, 3 months later, all the way up to about, 15 or 16 months later, and just reset appointments. Because the idea is if we can call them and reset them, then they're much further along in the sales process. So we should have a much higher closing rate. And so that's really where the idea came from. And then on top of that, the whole concept was on top of calling these people and resetting them. I'm going to run ads to them on Facebook to re-engage them and get them thinking about solar again. And so we started the program. It took off. So the first solar company I did it at, we had 6 phone reps setting appointments, and we had 30 door knockers. And basically, the door knockers were our competition. We were always trying to beat out our competition. And so within 3 months, we actually were generating, my 6 phone setters were generating 70% of the closes for the solar company compared to the 30 on the doors. And so it really was a program that took off and made some waves in the industry. Well, in Utah in that industry. And I was able to build the program for about 4 different solar companies. And it's something I still run on the side now, that, we're going to potentially look at branching out to more companies as we solidify a few more things. But really, that to me, that was something I'm really proud of, because the fact I was able to identify the issue and come up with a resolution and then fulfill on that was pretty cool for me. And so that I'd say that was one of my slam dunks. Nice, dude.
Yeah, I call it a grand slam, but we can switch it up to a slam dunk. I'll take that.
I think slam dunks are cooler. So baseball's too slow, man. You can't
baseball's
market baseball
too slow.
Right now.
Okay, I'll switch up the questions and ask them what their slam dunk for success was.
Grand slam's cooler. The reason I call it a slam dunk, though, is I don't know, it still hasn't risen to it's made me crazy money. It's not a grand slam yet, but it has the potential to become a grand slam.
Okay.
So currently it's a slam dunk. I'm getting props, but it's not a grand slam yet.
Okay. I can respect that.
Yeah.
So basically, just to give a recap, then your funnel was basically door knocker, setter, collect the information, and then remarket to them, essentially, correct?
Exactly.
So you were running Facebook ads, email ads, and doing different ads like that to follow up on those sequences, right? That was your funnel.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome because, I don't know a lot of people that are doing a funnel like that. So definitely something new in the industry. So that's a cool little funnel that our audience maybe could test out. So
yeah, it's pretty unique. Yeah.
Cool. So a couple questions left. If you could give any advice to any online company in the world, what would it be and why?
I would say be funnier and risk being funnier. And I think my main reasoning there is, how many email campaigns have you read recently that entertained you? What percentage?
0.
0, right? Can you think of one that has?
I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I've definitely would say most people aren't very engaging.
Right. So Dollar Shave Club had one that was really funny. There's been some random ones that I found entertaining. But I think, oftentimes we get put in situations where we come up with an idea and then that idea is presented to a group of people, and then that idea gets washed into something very boring and something very, very safe, I guess. Which, for a lot of companies, I understand that perspective and why you go in that direction. But I think, that is one of the worst things you can do when it comes to marketing, because the whole idea, in my opinion, is we're trying to create things that resonate with people and that align with people and that they can read and have some emotional response to. And so, the more personality, the more human touch you can put in things, I think really makes an impact and really can drive things. And, I don't think it's something that always creates immediate results more often, but I do think it is something that creates more customers long term because they can align with a personality. One example of this was YDraw, the email campaign Jace wrote for YDraw. oftentimes was stories about a conference he went to, or that sparked an idea, or just a funny story about his wife or kids. And it literally just be like, hey, here's a funny story. And then he tied into like, hey, you know, come tell your story at YDraw or whatever. And I did sales for YDraw for a while, and I remember people calling in and being like, hey, I've read your emails for 8 months and they're awesome, and I'm finally ready to purchase, you know, your product. And so that to me really stuck with me of, hey, you know, there's obviously you know, a lot of value successful companies provide, but on top of that, there's additional value you can bring with personality and with having fun and allowing creative people be creative in emails. And you know, there's a lot of ways to be funny and entertaining without being offensive. And that's but there is, you know, I understand there's some risk involved as well, but I think that's something that can make an impact on most companies.
Amen to that one. Fun, engaging, don't be boring.
Don't be boring. You're all boring.
Don't be boring. Amen to that one. Yeah, I actually just shot a little YouTube vlog on this. Basically, I just said, like, why do people watch the Super Bowl? You know, people watch the Super Bowl to watch fun and engaging ads. And so it's like, be fun with your advertising, your emails, your ads, all across the board. Just be fun and engaging. So what any updates, Wes, on the industry as far as Facebook, YouTube, anything like that? Any updates that you'd like to talk about?
So we talked about this a little bit before we hopped on the call, but you know, it's interesting. Facebook is in an interesting place right now where, you know, they got in trouble for some of the data they were collecting and leveraging for Facebook ads and different things, which, you know, is a hit for a lot of companies. And I just spoke to someone recently, randomly at the gym, that works at a marketing company helping e-commerce companies blow up their product. And he said they took about a 60% hit across the board on what they were generating through Facebook. And so, you know, this has been a real issue for a lot of companies. But it's interesting because one thing me and you talked about, Taylor, is how it is a new opportunity. Basically, what Facebook had to do is reset their landscape and reset, you know, basically how to be successful on Facebook by limiting some of the things that they were doing. And so really Facebook, the way I look at Facebook right now, it's just like when the stock market drops. You know, that's the right time to buy. And yes, their stock is dropping. But this is a massive opportunity right now in the industry to figure out the new landscape on Facebook, because most people running e-commerce right now have a massive pain point of, hey, we just took a huge hit. And so if you can find some ways to make up for that hit or to minimize that hit for companies, you can make a killing right now. And so I think that's one of the biggest things happening in our industry right now.
Amen. Yeah, no, I definitely think what's happening in the industry, you know, people that are not having successful campaigns and stuff, it's because they need to learn more about online marketing. I think there's a lot of companies out there that are doing well because they have the right marketers, they have the right tools, and they understand their audience, and they're just killing it. So I definitely think, like Wes said, it's a time to get in, keep pushing and keep learning about online marketing. So Wes, diving into our last little section of this podcast, I call it the little speed round.
Cool.
So what do you do for fun, Wes?
I play every sport I can get my hands on. Anything that I can be competitive in, I'll play video games. It doesn't matter, as long as I can feel the competitive nature of it, or beating someone, or even losing. I'm all in. Like, I love competition.
Win or lose, Wes is in.
I got to compete. I've been humbled a lot lately in ping pong, and I'm trying to get my game up, but I will play anyone at any time.
Sounds good. I'll match you.
I'm in.
Favorite marketing book?
How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Wow. Why that book?
It's the best book to learn how people work and how people like you, if that makes sense. And that carries through to marketing.
Awesome. Favorite thing about online marketing?
The instant, it's like, okay, so I don't know how to explain this without giving an analogy, but stand-up comedians love to explain their trade as like, you either succeed or fail, right? You either get a laugh or you don't. And there's some similarity with that in marketing, where your ad either fails or it's successful, bottom line. You're either generate leads that close or don't, bottom line. And you get to very quickly realize those results. I mean, you could start a Facebook ad today and start generating leads today, or see nothing for 3 days, right? And so I love the instant of, hey, you either succeeded or failed.
Amen to that one. Either your campaign's great or it sucks.
Basically, that's what's up. That's how it is.
Awesome, dude. Favorite marketing podcast?
How I Built This is
How
phenomenal.
I Built This.
If you, so it just walks through, like the most recent one I listened to is the owner of Lululemon, talking about how he started Lululemon, and it was phenomenal.
Awesome. I'm actually really disappointed you didn't say this one, but it's okay.
I haven't listened to it yet, Taylor. Have you even put a podcast up yet?
No, it will be up soon.
Okay, well,
this
next
is
time
the
you
last
ask me,
one.
I'll say yours.
The last one, and then I'm uploading.
Awesome.
So, favorite online marketing tool?
Honestly, I love MailChimp. I know people like look at it as like this piece of crap. Like, if you're a real marketer, you use better stuff. But yeah, I freaking love MailChimp. I love their UI. I love like all of the automation on it. It's such a great tool for just email marketing.
Cool. Sounds good. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, whatever works for you. So
yeah.
I use it.
It's awesome. It's awesome. I've used Infusionsoft, Marketo, like you name it. I love MailChimp for email marketing.
Awesome. So what advice would you give to every marketer in the world?
It's easier to generate clients than you think.
Ooh, elaborate on that one. That's deep.
So, and maybe because I came from a sales background, but I think the easiest thing in the industry is to generate clients. And it's funny because I've heard from a lot of people that there's a lot of marketing companies that can kill it for their clients, but struggle generating, customers for themselves. And marketing is literally designed to resolve pain points. You know what every company's biggest pain point is? They need more leads, because that's how you grow revenue, or they need more sales, or they need, it's all driven through marketing. And it's such an amazing industry to be in, because it's you need us. You want to make more money? Okay, then bring us on. And so understanding, don't get creative with pain points. Literally tell people you can generate more leads for them, or tell people that you increase their revenue. As long as you can do it, you're always going to have customers. But it doesn't need, generating customers does not need to be more creative than that.
Awesome. Thanks for your advice on that, Wes. Wes, any last words before we end this phone call?
Dude, I'm so pumped you finally started a podcast. You're going to inspire me to do it. I've been thinking about it for 2 years. I need to do it. But I'm so pumped you're doing it. This is really fun.
Awesome.
My goal is to become a consistent contributor to the podcast.
Okay, amen, brother. I can have you on the show even that much more. So thanks again, and peace.
Thanks, Elmi. Bye.
The end of episode number 4. Guys, don't forget, create engaging content. I can't hound this enough. Just like Wes talked about how Jace used engaging emails, creating stories, telling stories. This is going to be beneficial for your business in the long run. Reach out to your sales guys, get their scripts, and see if you can create some new creative copy. And better yet, generate those leads. Try his little funnel that he used. If you have a door knocker, have them collect emails, phone numbers, Upload them into your Facebook, your AdWords, and remarket to these people across the board, especially with high ticket item products such as solar. Remarketing to these people is going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort, but it will close them in the long run. So that's the end of episode number 4. This is Taylor Timothy. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. If you want to be on this podcast, hit me up and I'd love to have you on the show. Don't forget to subscribe, and peace.